Alright, so Mexican Grand Prix, definitely an entertaining one, not always for the right reasons though, and I'm going to go over why it was entertaining for one of the wrong reasons as well, at least in my opinion one of the wrong reasons anyway, the battle between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Now, obviously these two are the championship title rivals this season, the only two drivers that can realistically win it, and Max Verstappen came into this one with a big old advantage in the points, looking pretty much certain, I would say, to win the championship going into this race. But now I'm not so sure because Verstappen again has effectively reared his ugly head when it comes to the really just downright stupid incidents that are being caused. There, I said it. And even the biggest Max Verstappen fans have to admit that the guy has done some serious wrong again during this race, and honestly it shouldn't as much as a surprise. But before I go into a full-on tirade against the guy, I'm going to just analyse the incident. Now, I've got it on my phone here just by my laptop screen. My mouse pad isn't working properly, so I'm just having to do this a bit on the fly like this. But I'm basically going to do what the stewards did, because the stewards gave Max Verstappen two 10-second time penalties which he served during one of his pit stops, basically saying those two 10-second penalties were because of two separate incidents that occurred in pretty quick succession during the Grand Prix. So I'm just going to play what happens here. So Max Verstappen did initially lead the race. Carlos Sainz got past him on the DRS, and then Lando Norris started to catch him as well. Now this incident, the first incident occurred going into turn 4, the second braking zone on the track, at the end of the second DRS zone on the track as well. So I'm just going to play this now. So as we're going into the braking zone, Max Verstappen's gone down the inside to defend his line. The defensive line going through this corner, because it's a very tight corner, is turn 4, and then it's very quickly followed by turn 5, which is a right-hander. And this is also key to how Max Verstappen defends his position here. So Lando Norris goes around the outside. Max Verstappen leaves the cars with no problem here at all. As they get to the corner, and again this is the apex thing that came up before, looking at the view, because the view they show you is from Lando Norris's car, I would say at the apex Lando Norris is actually ahead of Max Verstappen, which is a key difference compared to what happened last week in Austin, because in Austin, when they got to the apex, it was actually Max Verstappen that was ahead, despite Lando Norris initially being ahead into that braking zone. However, now Lando Norris is ahead, but Max Verstappen, and again it might show you Max Verstappen's on board, but I would imagine Max Verstappen has opened the steering up at this point and has basically decided that he's going to push Lando Norris off of the track, which is of course illegal. You can't do that. So we go into the exit of the corner immediately before turn 5, and I'm just looking at this now. Max Verstappen has his car completely onto the side of the track. So Lando Norris, if he's going to make no contact with Max Verstappen, he is going to have to be off the track, and that's what happened. Lando Norris does go off the track. He's in the concrete runoff now because of this. He then goes across the grass, cuts the corner. He gets ahead of Carlos Sainz because of it. He immediately lets Carlos Sainz go back through. However, there's not much of a gap between Sainz and Verstappen, so he tries to slot in that gap, and he does so successfully. However, because of that, he runs slower through that'll be turn 6, I believe. And basically the final corner before you go on that mini straight before the start of the S's section. Now, some people were thinking that Lando Norris was going to let off and let Max Verstappen go through, but I don't think he was. I think he was actually trying to keep him behind. Again, going with the same philosophy they tried in Austin, where they should just try and keep the position. But then Max Verstappen dives down the inside, a very late move. Now, turn 7 is not really an overtaking opportunity usually. It can be in some circumstances. It's not impossible, but it's really difficult to pass through there because the braking zone is not very long, and it's also not a very long straight to try and get an advantage. And then Max Verstappen just launches it down the inside. I mean, he runs so wide, and Lando Norris has to take avoiding action here. Lando Norris, if he took the race in line or tried to take the line that he was trying to, because he was ahead going into that corner, which he would have had every right to do that. He would have hit Verstappen and they both would have went out of the race, which of course would be a good thing for Verstappen. Thinking incredibly cynically, that's probably what Verstappen might have been thinking there. And he's not the first driver to do this. Think of Michael Schumacher, think of Ayrton Senna. They both used to do this on a number of occasions. And Max Verstappen is very much, unfortunately, of that ilk, really, when it comes to it. And I'm just looking at this here. I mean, they go on the runoff, rejoin the track. Charles Leclerc has overtook them both. Lewis Hamilton almost overtakes Lando Norris as well. And probably sensibly backs out, but just thinks these kids are insane, honestly, at this point. Yeah. And again, looking at the aerial shot here of the first one, this is why Verstappen gets a 10-second penalty for this. He is never ahead through that corner. He pushes Lando Norris completely off the track. He has to take a avoiding action. He does not leave even a whiff of a cigarette paper, let alone a car's whiff, on the right hand side of him, so he can go wheel to wheel with Lando Norris. Lando Norris is complaining on the radio, saying it's dangerous. It is dangerous, absolutely. That's why he gets a 10-second penalty there, because if Lando Norris did what he had every right to do, they would have made contact, and that would have been 100% Verstappen's fault. But as it was, Lando took avoiding action, and the two did not make contact somehow. I don't even know how. And then that's bad, but then the worst one for me is the second one. The second one for me, that's also another 10-second penalty. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not more for the second one compared to the first. I really am, because that second move is so dangerous. If Lance Stroll made that overtaking move, people will be calling for his head. And I'm sure there's some people out there calling for Verstappen's head. Absolutely after that. And I'm not going to make this personal at the end of the day. I think that's going too far. This is racing at the end of the day, but unfortunately for Verstappen, he absolutely deserves these two 10-second penalties for this, and he's lost a few points in the championship because of it as well. Now, it's very late here in the UK. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm recording this past midnight, and I'm not going to go into a full-on rant about the guy. But all I'm going to say about Verstappen is that this is not new. He made contact with Sir Lewis Hamilton in Hungary for no reason. He made contact with Lando Norris in Austria while trying to defend the lead. He made contact with Lewis Hamilton several times in the 2021 World Championship as well. Some of them were Lewis Hamilton's fault, you might argue, but there was some of them, particularly in Saudi Arabia, where his driving was downright abysmal. He's done it again here. This guy's a triple world champion, and he might become a full-time world champion after this, but he really, really isn't doing himself any favours. He didn't need to do this today. He didn't need to do this today. He did not need to do. He's got a massive lead in the championship. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Formula One drivers should be honourable. They should be role models. No, it's not that simple, right? I mean, they should be role models, all right. I'll give you that one. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're all, you know, perfect and everything, and they should be, because they're not, right? You know, they all make mistakes, but the amount of incidents that have been happening with Verstappen like this is nothing new at all. When Max Verstappen is under pressure, whether it's himself causing that pressure, external pressure, Red Bull, his dad, whoever, right? I don't know what the main source of all this is, but clearly when the guy is under pressure, he makes, I don't even think these are mistakes in a sense, because he's doing it very deliberately. He's not accidentally ran Lando Norris off the road twice. He did it deliberately. And he did it deliberately knowing full well that Lando Norris could not make contact with him, because that would be a net gain for Verstappen effectively. If they both get no points, Verstappen's still got a 50-odd point lead going into the next race. Simple as that. And that's a big, big difference with the mentality there, you know. That's why he let Carlos Sainz go, relatively. He didn't really fight it. Not that he could have done. But with Lando Norris in the same position, he defends it absolutely tooth and nail, which usually he's fine doing. This time he's gone too far again, and it's nothing new, and it's embarrassing. Verstappen is making a joke of himself at this point. He really, really is. And I know there's going to be some Max fans or some people in here saying you're being too harsh on the guy. I respectfully disagree with that. I really do think, as a 3-time world champion, someone who's won over 60 races, got like over 100 podiums, competed in like 200 Grand Prix, whatever it is now. This guy should be held to a higher standard. He should not do this. You just don't do this. He doesn't have any need to do this. If he just drives fair, he's still going to win the championship anyway. But as it is, he's absolutely lost his head again. I really do fear for what the rest of the season is going to be like. We're going up to Interlagos next, a track where it's difficult to overtake, a track where Verstappen has had crashes before. Oh, I'm really fearful of what's going to happen in the next race. And if that championship battle gets even closer, how bad is Verstappen going to get here? Because it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. Maybe I'm overreacting to this. I don't know. Like I said, it's very early at night, but very late at night, I should say. There we go. You know, I'm just speechless at this. I don't know why I'm surprised at this, but I still find myself being surprised at it. It's just like you think he'd learn from all his mistakes, but he just doesn't. He just doesn't. So, guys, what do you think about these penalties? Were 10 seconds for each incident, right? Should there be more? Should Verstappen be further punished? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below here. And of course, keep it subscribed to the F1Chronicle.com for much more analysis, opinions, news pieces, and everything in between. See you soon, guys. Have a good one.